You ever get that feeling when a rumor just won't go away because it actually makes a lot of sense? That's exactly what's happening right now. There hasn't been any official move yet, but the conversation keeps getting bigger. And honestly, there are some really interesting reasons why so many fans are still talking about it. Let's break it all down and see if this is actually something that could help the team heading into the season. Before we jump in, make sure you hit that like button if you're excited for another Seahawks season, and let me know down in the comments. Go Hawks! I want to see how many real Seahawks fans are watching today. The conversation surrounding Jadeveon Clowney and the Seattle Seahawks refuses to go away, and there is one major reason for that. Even though nothing appears to be imminent, the possibility of bringing Clowney back continues to make sense when you look at what this team is trying to accomplish. With training camp still approaching and the 4th of July weekend expected to slow down league activity, there is no indication that a decision is around the corner. At the same time, that has not stopped the discussion from growing stronger because there are several football reasons why this potential move continues to stand out. The biggest argument starts with something very simple. Clowney is still viewed as a productive player. The discussion is not based on nostalgia or on what he accomplished years ago. It is based on the belief that he can still contribute at a high level whenever he is asked to perform. His ability to set the edge against the run remains one of the qualities that continues to receive attention. He is also still capable of creating tackles for loss and generating sacks, making him a player who can impact multiple phases of defensive play instead of being limited to only one responsibility. One of the most interesting points raised is that Seattle would not need Clowney to carry the same workload he handled previously. In fact, reducing his snap count could actually help maximize his effectiveness. Rather than asking him to stay on the field for an overwhelming number of plays, the Seahawks could rotate him with other veterans, allowing him to stay fresher throughout games. That kind of approach could help preserve his energy while keeping his production at a consistently high level whenever he steps onto the field. That philosophy appears to fit with what the Seahawks want from their defensive front. The emphasis is on players giving maximum effort while they are on the field instead of trying to conserve energy over an extremely heavy workload. A deeper rotation allows experienced defenders to play aggressively, knowing another capable player will eventually replace them before fatigue becomes a significant factor. From that perspective, another veteran edge defender is not simply additional depth. He becomes another piece that helps maintain intensity throughout an entire game. The current group already includes experienced names, and that is another reason why this conversation has continued. With veterans such as DeMarcus Lawrence, Uchenna Nwosu, and Dante Fowler Jr. already part of the discussion, adding Clowney would strengthen an experienced rotation instead of forcing one individual to handle every difficult assignment. Rather than depending on a single pass rusher, Seattle could continue rotating multiple veterans while also creating opportunities for younger players to develop without carrying excessive pressure immediately. Another reason this possibility continues attracting attention is the current free agent market itself. With Cam Jordan already off the market, the discussion presents Clowney as one of the most attractive remaining options available. There has also been speculation about other veteran pass rushers, including Von Miller. But the argument presented is that Clowney represents a much cleaner fit because he offers more than simply rushing the quarterback on limited snaps. The belief is that Seattle's defensive approach requires edge defenders who can affect both the passing game and the running game instead of specializing in only one area. That brings the conversation directly to the defensive system. The vision described for Seattle's defense places enormous importance on complete edge players. The expectation is not simply to pressure quarterbacks. Edge defenders are expected to stop the run, maintain discipline, set the edge effectively, avoid getting reached, and contribute across every phase of defensive football. It is less about creating one dominant superstar who carries the entire unit, and more about assembling multiple players who consistently perform every assignment at a high level. Within that framework, Clowney becomes an appealing fit because his skill set matches those responsibilities. Instead of relying on explosive pass-rushing numbers alone, the discussion focuses on his complete game. That balanced profile is exactly why this possibility continues to receive attention despite the absence of any confirmed negotiations or official reports that a signing is close. Another important element involves the example established by DeMarcus Lawrence. His impact is described as extending well beyond statistics. Leadership, physical play against the run, pressure on opposing quarterbacks, forcing turnovers, and helping elevate teammates are all presented as examples of the value an experienced veteran can provide inside this defensive system. The suggestion is not that Clowney would duplicate every accomplishment, but that he could bring many of the same qualities to an already experienced defensive front. Instead of asking one veteran to shoulder every leadership responsibility, Seattle could potentially benefit from multiple experienced voices working together. Veteran leadership becomes more valuable when it is shared throughout the room, especially alongside younger players who are still developing. That combination of experience and rotation is repeatedly presented as one of the strongest arguments supporting the move. Even with all the excitement surrounding the possibility, there is also an acknowledgement that rumors eventually become exhausting. As training camp gets closer, attention naturally begins shifting toward actual football rather than constant speculation. Fans always enjoy discussing possible additions, but there comes a point where everyone simply wants answers. Until then, the Clowney conversation continues, because the football fit appears logical, even if nothing has officially materialized. The discussion becomes even more interesting when looking beyond Seattle itself. Competition inside the division is not expected to become easier, making every roster improvement potentially significant. That increases the appeal of finding another experienced contributor without sacrificing existing players or future draft resources. Rather than completing a trade or restructuring major portions of the roster, adding a veteran free agent represents a much simpler path toward strengthening one specific position group. Another point raised is that bringing in Clowney would not necessarily prevent younger players from growing. Instead, the presence of another experienced defender could actually create a healthier environment by allowing prospects to continue developing at an appropriate pace while learning from veterans already established in the league. That balance between immediate competitiveness and long-term development is presented as another reason why the move deserves serious consideration. Financial flexibility also enters the conversation. The belief expressed is that Seattle possesses enough salary cap space to comfortably explore this type of addition if the organization believes the fit is right. Rather than viewing available cap space as something that should simply remain untouched, the argument is that resources should be used whenever they provide a realistic opportunity to improve the football team. If a veteran can strengthen the roster without creating long-term complications, the discussion suggests that it becomes a move worth serious consideration. All of these points ultimately build toward one central conclusion. The belief is not that a signing has already been decided or that an announcement is coming immediately. Instead, the case is built around football logic, roster construction, scheme fit, veteran experience, rotational depth, and financial flexibility. Every one of those elements combines to create an argument that continues gaining attention as training camp approaches, leaving many to wonder whether Seattle will eventually decide that adding another experienced edge defender is the final piece needed to strengthen this position group. With training camp drawing closer and speculation continuing to build, do you believe the Seahawks should make this move and bring Jadeveon Clowney back? Or do you think the team should move forward with the current group? Looking at the situation from another angle, one of the strongest arguments is that this potential addition would not require Seattle to give up any assets. There would be no need to trade away current contributors or sacrifice future draft capital. Instead, the team would simply be taking advantage of an opportunity that still exists on the free agent market. That distinction matters because improving the roster without weakening another position is always an attractive scenario, if the organization believes the player is the right fit. The discussion also points out that adding Clowney should not be viewed as an attempt to find a player identical to anyone else around the league. The comparison being made is not about matching another team's star for star. Instead, the focus remains on making a practical move that improves Seattle's own defensive front. If another team strengthens one of its biggest position groups, the Seahawks can respond by reinforcing an area where they already place significant importance without disrupting the rest of the roster. Veteran presence continues to be another recurring theme throughout the conversation. Experience carries value beyond the stat sheet, especially inside a defensive room that includes both established players and younger talent still working toward larger roles. Having another veteran available allows the coaching staff greater flexibility, while also creating another voice capable of helping teammates through preparation, adjustments, and the demands of a long NFL season. There is also confidence that Clowney's arrival would not necessarily come at the expense of younger defenders receiving opportunities. Instead, the rotation itself becomes part of the solution. Younger players could continue developing naturally while experienced veterans handle significant responsibilities, creating a balance that benefits the entire unit rather than forcing inexperienced players into situations before they are fully ready. Another practical factor discussed is Seattle's current financial position. With available salary cap space still remaining, the organization has the flexibility to pursue another addition if it decides that doing so improves the football team. The point is not that every available dollar must be spent, but rather that available resources become valuable when they can be used to strengthen the roster without creating unnecessary long-term problems. The expectation is not that Clowney would command an enormous contract. Instead, the belief expressed is that his next deal would likely resemble the type of veteran agreement already seen elsewhere on the roster. If that proves to be the case, Seattle could potentially improve one of its key position groups while maintaining the overall financial flexibility that has been carefully managed. Ultimately, everything circles back to one question. Does the organization believe another experienced edge defender can make the entire defense stronger? The discussion consistently argues that the answer should be yes, because Clowney offers production against the run, pass-rushing ability, familiarity with the type of responsibilities expected from edge defenders, and the experience to fit naturally into a veteran rotation. Of course, none of this guarantees that a contract will actually happen. Rumors remain rumors until an official announcement is made, and there is every possibility that Clowney waits until training camp, or even later, before making a final decision about his next destination. For now, the discussion remains centered on why the move appears logical, rather than suggesting that anything has already been completed. As training camp gets closer, attention will naturally shift from speculation to real competition on the field. That is when every roster decision becomes much easier to evaluate, because performances replace projections. Until then, the possibility of adding another veteran edge rusher remains one of the more intriguing conversations surrounding the Seahawks, especially considering the combination of scheme fit, roster depth, veteran leadership, and financial flexibility highlighted throughout this discussion. Whether the front office ultimately decides to pursue the move or not, the debate itself shows how important the defensive front is expected to be. Every potential addition is being evaluated through the lens of how it strengthens the overall rotation rather than relying on one individual to carry the defense alone. That philosophy has been at the center of the entire argument, And it explains why Clowney continues to generate so much attention despite the absence of any official developments. Now, it's your turn. Do you think Jadeveon Clowney is the missing veteran piece this defense should add before the season begins? Or would you rather see Seattle move forward with the players already on the roster? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest Seahawks news. And before you leave, click the video that's on your screen right now because that's where you'll find even more Seahawks updates. If you want the latest news first, this is the place to be.